What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hometown TCG. My name is Josh, and as you can see by the change in format and the goldenrod walls behind me, that studio remodel and that channel update that we talked about is going into effect. So big thank you to all of you guys out in the YouTube comment section for commenting, for clicking that subscribe button, for watching our videos. Because of you guys, all this is possible. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons at patreon.com/hometowntcg for helping make all this possible. We couldn't do it without you guys. So with the road to nationals, guys, underway, we wanted to talk about a very important subject, and we wanted to visit the different heroes that you're going to see in your road to national games. And we wanted to assign those heroes tiers so you know what to prepare for. So we have our first tier list video on this channel, guys. I am stoked, and I can't wait to give you guys this information. So let's talk about the tiers that we have chosen. We've chosen a 5-tier system, and from top to bottom, we have tier definitely going to play against these. Here's your 100% going to see the top of the meta, the cream of the crop. These are the best of the best. Moving on to the tier, you're going to see a couple of these. You have to keep them in mind. So that means you must keep them in mind when playing, when going to your event, and when deck building. It's equally as important. Our next tier is the, oh yeah, I forgot about blank tier. What this tier is heroes that are kind of right in the middle of the meta. They don't necessarily have a home at the top of the meta. However, when you see them, you know, and you got to be ready. Moving on to the 4th tier, we've decided to call that tier, I forgot what blank does. Can I read your card, please? These are heroes that have been out of it for a little while. Maybe heroes you haven't seen in a minute, but definitely heroes you need to know what they do. So this is our tier 4, and finally in our tier 5, I know you guys are going to crush me for this in the comments section, we have our Azalea tier. Guys, these are heroes that, yes, given the perfect hand, given your opponent drawing bad cards, a subpar matchup, something like that, you can take home some wins, but we don't believe that those heroes are top tier. So we're going to get right into this, guys, and we are going to start with the hero that everybody probably knows where he goes. Everybody knows that this hero is dominating the meta right now, and that hero is Chain. Guys, if you are going to a Road to Nationals event, even if you're going to a calling event, you need to be prepared to play against some Chain decks. Chain can be so oppressive. The problem with Chain is that he gets to a point where he feels like Thanos, and he snaps, and he is inevitable. So you have to be ready for that. You have to have a good strategy to beat Chain, whether it's racing him early, grinding him out lane or late. You need to be ready for those Chain decks, and if you're playing Chain, you need to know you're at the top of the meta, so a lot's expected of you. Moving on next, we have another Monarch hero, and we're going to talk Ser Bolton. And I'm putting Ser Bolton right in the middle here. He's the, oh yeah, I forgot about Ser Bolton tier. Guys, Ser Bolton can have these absolutely incredible turns. You know, he could beat Chain on turn 3. He can push through so much damage. You're seeing a lot of different builds that are all viable and all kind of do the same thing. However, he's not quite consistent enough for us, and he can draw some bad hands. He does have a couple downfalls, and it feels like against these top tier heroes, if you miss a step, you can't win that game. So you gotta hit all your cards, you gotta hit all your combos, and that's what's gonna put Ser Bolton right in the, oh yeah, I forgot about Ser Bolton tier. Next, we have a community favorite, and I think I'm gonna surprise some of you guys here. We have Azalea, and Azalea actually belongs in, no, I'm just kidding, guys. Guys, Azalea is in the bottom tier right now, unfortunately. I know you guys are gonna crush me in the comment section below. However, she's just not consistent enough, and she has a lot of tools in her toolkit that can counter and counteract a lot of these heroes in the top of the meta. She's just not consistent enough. On turns that you don't do something big that counters your opposing hero, you just take too much damage, your next turn's not strong enough, and it's a slippery slope in this meta, and Azalea, once she misses that footing, she can't catch back up, doesn't have great armor to block, guys. We believe Azalea is in the bottom tier. Moving on, I want to talk Gaston. I want to talk Bravo, guys. And if you have been a member of our Patreon or a member of our Discord or a member of our channel for a long time now, you guys know that personally, I get crushed. See what I did there? For what my take on Bravo in the Blitz meta. Now, I stand by my take on Bravo in Blitz because Bravo wasn't very viable against Ira. He didn't play super well into the Ira matchup, and with Ira being at the top of the meta, if you lose to that deck, you can't be tier 1. However, classic constructed Bravo is a completely different story, guys. Bravo is not only viable, but I think he's in a great spot. Bravo has great crush effects, he defends well, and he plays the grinding game well behind a large suite of armor and some life gain. So I really like Bravo in this meta. I think Bravo goes into the, we will see a couple of these tier, gotta keep them in mind, because when you're deck building, if you're not thinking about Bravo, you're going to get beaten by some of these really, really good Bravo players out there. Moving on, I have a surprise pick. I have Prism, and I originally had Prism in my, oh yeah, I forgot about Prism tier. However, results from early Road to Nationals are coming in, and it looks like these Prism players are taking home some wins and possibly coming close to taking home some events. And because of that, you got to keep Prism in mind when you're building your deck. Prism really has had a come up as of recent. The community is really behind her. The deck is starting to get solved. So we are here big fans of Prism kind of growing and changing the meta. And because of that, she moves up into the, we will see a couple of these, we got to keep them in mind here. She's got some great lines of play, whether you're running tank Prism, whether you're playing Tomes and Herald of Erudition, things like that. Prism lines of play can be very oppressive. We think Prism belongs in our second tier. All right, moving on to another community favorite, and this is Levia. And guys, Levia belongs in the, I forgot what Levia does. Can I read your card tier? And the reason for this is she has access to some pretty amazing tools, and she does get to use Husk, which everybody knows is oppressive. However, she's too easy to interrupt in the late game and to cause blood debt to stack up and be so detrimental that she can't play the game. So if she is properly interrupted, if your opponent can find a way to really get in there and bother you when you're trying to do what you want to do, it can be devastating, and Levia can lose that game right away. And just like other brutes, as soon as you start playing Scab Skin and Gamblers and you take RNG into effect, anything can happen. It can win you some games, but it can also lose you some games, so we got to take that into account. Levia belongs in the, I forgot what Levia does. Can I read your card, please? Tier. Moving on, we have another member of the I forgot what this hero does, can I read your card, and that is Viscera. Now, Viscera is very interesting because it was very common to play one of two Viscera builds recently. Either you were going OTK Viscera, which is one turn kill Viscera, stacking up tons of rune chance and going for a big swing, or you were playing mid-range Viscera, where you played on the back foot, stacked up a good amount of rune chance, and then went in for medium attacks here and there, much like a couple different Rhino builds. We'll get to Rhino later. But because of that, Viscera has kind of fallen off in the current meta. These top tier decks, guys, are so consistent and so able to put their foot on the gas and have no risk of taking it off, that if Viscera waits to build up too many rune chance, you can find yourself in a position where you can never attack or you die. So Viscera is in a really weird spot now. Now watch for Viscera to move up. There might be a solved deck that comes out that maybe speeds Viscera up, maybe gets him a little more consistent, and that could move Viscera up into your middle tier. But for now, it's, I forgot what Viscera does. Can I read your card, please? Moving on, we have an oldie, but a goodie. We're talking Dorinthia. Guys, Dorinthia used to destroy this format, and now she finds herself at the top in the tier 2. This is because I think a lot of players are having trouble remembering how to effectively play against Dorinthia. Dorinthia is 100% a skill matchup. So as Dorinthias have fallen out of the meta, players who play against Dorinthia have gotten less experience, so Dorinthia is picking up some wins. She is oppressive. She can beat some of the top decks in the format. She can lock them down to positions where they don't want to be, so she's completely viable. But Dorinthia is a hero that I could see taking a step back once the community gets more and more used to playing against Dorinthia again. But for now, we're going to see a couple Dorinthias. We want to keep them in mind and be ready for them when we build our decks for the road to Nationals. Now, a surprise pick, and one that's come recently, is Dash. Guys, I don't know if you've been following the road to Nationals results, but recently, the Matt Rogers piloted a Dash deck to first place. What this means is not only Dash viable in the hands of the great players in our community, but it means a ton of people are going to pick up this deck. They're going to build this deck, and they're going to try to play it. Because of that, you guys need to be ready to see Dash in your meta, to see Dash at your road to Nationals, and know how to beat Dash. You need to know how to play against Control Dash. You need to know how to play against Boost Dash. And as a player searching for a deck, it's going to be on the top of a lot of lists. You're going to see a lot of Dash. Couple that with, we've played her against the top of the meta, and she's done quite well. She's coin flipped a lot of the top meta matchups. She does okay into change, she does okay into we haven't said, so I'm not going to tell you the other top tier of the meta, but she does okay to the top of the meta, and we're fans of Dash. Next up, we have Kaino. Now guys, constructed Kaino belongs in the Azalea tier. It's just not viable. There's just not enough gas. The life total that you start with is just too much of a detriment, so he does belong in the bottom of the meta. Now there was an interesting point where Kaino was thought, we were thinking maybe Kaino could be viable because traditionally Kaino stacks up quite well against your Runeblade heroes. However, the gap in life is just too big. You just start too far behind the gun. So I think Kaino belongs in the Azalea tier. Moving on to our Welcome to Wraith Ninja, we have our second member of the definitely going to play against these tier. Guys, Katsu is an incredible deck right now, and it can be built multiple ways. That means the deck can be shaped to fit whatever meta it's playing in, and that is a powerful tool. We've seen a lot of Katsu decks pilot themselves to the top of different ladders, to the top of these events, and you should expect to see one. And just like if you watched our video on 6 tips to improve your gameplay, the advanced tips, we talked about the best way to learn to beat a deck is to play a deck, and not a lot of non-Katsu players are playing this deck. It's complicated, it's a high learning curve, and because they're not playing it, they're not great at beating it. So Katsu's in an amazing spot, stacks up incredibly with the rest of the top of the meta, and is kind of an unknown puzzle to a lot of the community. So you gotta get behind that deck, you gotta learn how to play it, and that's gonna keep Katsu right at the top of this meta. And finally, shout out to John who wasn't with us today. We're going to talk Rhino. And Rhino, as he always is right in the middle in the, oh yeah, I forgot about Rhino tier. Now, just like we've discussed in the past, Rhino feels like he's in every game. You never feel completely out of it. However, the use of RNG through the use of bad draws, mispitch, not necessarily wanting to block, on your big turns, you are susceptible to a lot of bad stuff during the course of a game, and that's going to keep Rhino oppressed just a little bit. Because of all those factors, he is right in the middle, and this is a great time to stress that just because he's in the middle doesn't mean he's not going to go and win some games and possibly go on a run and take down an event. It just means he's not going to be as consistent. This is just a great time for the flesh and blood meta, guys. All of these heroes can get wins, obviously some more consistently and more likely than others, but they're all okay to play. If you show up with all these heroes, you're going to be able to play some games. You might pick up a win or two. But guys, this is what we think you're going to need to be ready for at your road to nationals. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let us know what you think of the new video formats while we're remodeling the studio, while we're getting everything set up. Huge shout out to all of you guys. We're racing to 2,000 subs. Click that sub button. Visit us at patreon.com/hometowntcg. We hope to see you there. And until next time, my name is Josh, and we'll see you around.